What's better, 4 sets of 12 or to failure? Between the two. And what is the difference? Well, it's in the name. Till failure and then 4 sets of 12. One of the easiest ways to talk about it is basically IRIR, which is reps in reserve. And that basically means how much you can do, how much you have left over before your sets. Now, what that means is basically how much I have left in the tank. Let's say with 4 sets of 12. When I stop at 12, when I probably could have done what? 13 to 15 left over, which is about 1, 2, 3 IR left. Versus with sets till failure, there is 0. There's none left over because you keep going until your body forces you to stop. Now, there's also something called the Henman size principle. What that means is the body activates smaller muscles first. And once your body starts to give out a little bit more, your body starts to use those larger, stronger muscles. Why? I have no idea, but that's how it works. And then it's going to activate those larger muscles as well. And it's going to give those the best growth for those muscles. What's the trade-off, people say? Well, the trade-off is when you're going to failure, those muscles get activated immediately. So you don't have to wait for using long reps or such because you're already going heavy and you're already going to failure, which your muscles will start to burn immediately. Doing 4 sets of 12, when you're doing heavy sets, you're also using those muscles, but at a later time. Why? Because you're not going to failure and heavy. You're doing 4 sets of 12, so you're stopping at a point where you think it's failure, or what could have been, but you stop at a moment's rest, and then those muscles aren't being used as much until a later time in those reps and sets. But doing 4 sets of 12, you get much less wear and tear. So it's not as brutal as till failure. But you could get there with enough force. It's the pros and cons. Everybody likes those, right? So for pros, for 4 sets of 12, if we did 4 sets of 12, let's say at 100 pounds, right? Last week. This week you do the same workout, but you go heavier, let's say by 5-10 pounds, and you do 4 sets of 12, by sense, you would be stronger, right? Now for the con. The cons is that if the weight is too light, those sets or reps aren't really going to be as good as a lot of people think, because it's more like a warm-up and not actually training very hard on a 4 sets of 12. So which is why a lot of people got to watch out for is make sure you find a good weight that is good for you, so you'll know that I could barely do 12 sets, or let's say I could barely do 13, 14 sets on this, but let's do it 4 times, you know what I mean? Which is why you gotta watch out for making sure your weight is correct, but also your form is correct. Time for the pros and cons for till failure. For this is, you don't have to get, one of the pros is you don't have to guess if you're going to failure. You already know just because of how hard you're working out. You going hard and your body forcing you to stop already proves how hard you're working. It's also great if you're in a time crunch. It's for time efficiency because you go hard in a minimal amount of sets and you can go pretty hard. The only downside of this is that if you go too hard on your first set, the second and third one aren't probably going to be as good as your first one. Why? Because you spent a lot of energy on that first set, and that second and third is going to be real low, especially in weight and fire reps too. One thing you guys could do is do both. Use them for whichever you want, but you have to be safe about it. One thing that you guys really have to worry about is injuries. Now, one way you guys can incorporate 4 sets of 12 is on compound days. Bench, squat, deadlift, all those, where the risk is really high, but you can stop a couple reps before failure. So you can still get that maximum growth and that good pump. Now for sets of failure, it could be like isolated, maybe bicep curls or something where it's just stationary and the risk is low. Because if you do go to a failure, guess what? You can just drop the weight, wait a little bit, and then go again. Stuff like that. You do both. Trust me, I did sets to failure, I did 4 sets to 12. They were great in their own way. You just have to know how to do it and enjoy either of them. But for me, I do a little bit of both. It really depends what I'm working out on. But try it out and be safe. Where are those things?